Greetings, everyone. Welcome to the Elite Class of Growth. My name is Eric Perry, and I'm so excited that we are able to be in one accord in the Spirit and in the presence of God as we share and communicate what life of the Spirit is like and what God desires of the Spirit of man as he walks on the surface of the earth. And it's been an interesting 1 month so far, and we are keeping track of how we have come and where God is taking us. Remember that each time that you have the opportunity to watch this video, remember to like, share, and invite a friend, tell them about the Elite Class of Growth and the content that you have encountered, and let's spread this word together. Trust me, the moment that people get to listen to such words of life and such words of the Spirit, we give God the opportunity from the source of our spirit for him to do what he needs to do. The moment that he needs to take us to our desired destination, we give him and grant him the opportunity to be the goodness that outsources everything that he has planned for us and our lives. So it is very important that even in this moment, your spirit is alert. There's an awareness that has been created in your mind, in your emotions, that only the Spirit of God can be able to move in a pattern that he has never moved before. So my encouragement to you all that have the opportunity to listen is that devote these few minutes that we have on the Elite Class of Growth, and by the special grace of God, we'll be able to extend by his leading and by his direction. But I want you in these moments to capture that which your spirit needs to capture. Allow God to do what he needs to do. Let him be the source of everything that you experienced. Everything that you have experienced be birthed from. There is a birthing that occurs within the spirit of man where God becomes not only the source, but you have given him in the life opportunity, the lifetime opportunity where he just releases his realities and how your spirit can be able to engage into his spirit and what his will for your life looks like. It's like you have the opportunity to know what God desires of you. So today we're going to be looking at something very short again, and it's in moments like this where humility is key. And the Bible says something. It says, by humility and trust in the Lord, there is honor, riches, and life. Humility and trust in him become key because there is an honor of relevance that his spirit releases on your spirit that makes you distinct amongst men. And the distinction that comes in it is simply because you will be able to be identified not only in your walk in the spirit, but what God has defined you as, especially in the times where we are in. So every time that you have the opportunity to listen to the words that are being uttered, it's a source and the beginning of what God has in store for you. So today we're going to be looking at something that God has entitled by the leading of his spirit, and it's called the magnificent touch. The magnificent touch. Now, when you begin to read the book of John chapter 4 and verse 24, the Bible reads and records that God is spirit. It says God is spirit, and those that worship him must worship him in truth and in spirit. It says God is spirit, and those that worship him must worship him in truth and in spirit. Now, the moment you begin to see the light of this word, automatically it's not everything to do with the fleshly being of God, but everything that has to do with the spirit. Meaning there's a formulation and a coordination of the spirit that needs to meet God in an environment as a spirit. and where it has been coordinated and formulated as truth. Now, the coordination and formulation of truth that we are talking about is simply a pattern where your whole being, not only the flesh but the spirit, begins to respond to what is of spirit, which is in God. So what is of spirit, which is in God, has been created as a platform of truth where you begin to encounter him, not only as a spirit, but it changes that which is within you to encounter him, who is God. Now, the reason why God does this is because he wants the wholeness of his being, which is spirit, to be clearly gotten in that moment, for us to have a clear understanding of who we are worshiping in that moment. So now the environment of truth that has been created in the atmosphere that our spirits are with God is simply because everything in that moment not only becomes an illusion, but it becomes a direct response from our spirits on how we can largely engage God in our activities in the moments our spirits get to meet together. Now, that environment of truth has clearly been defined by his word. Now, the truth of the matter that God has created in such an environment to encounter him is simply because there are moments when we are in places of worship, and in that moment it's like we are focused to what God has released, simply because our flesh has been attached to it. But there's a different kind of response that comes in when your spirit is worshiping him in spirit and acknowledging the environment of truth. Now, the reason why there's an environment of truth that has been established and coordinated, not only coordinated but formulated by the Spirit of God for the engagement of the spirit of man, is to simply acknowledge what God has also created that is out of his own likeness. So not only is he meeting something that he has created, but it is giving him a definite position, acknowledging that what he created out of himself is able to respond towards what he is as spirit, who is God. Okay, so now he brings us to a part of knowing and a part of knowledge that out of himself he brought out a being that contains flesh, that out of himself he brought out a certain being that is out of him, a certain being that is out of himself, that is also a spirit, but can actually walk and have dominion in an environment that which he clearly created and also has access to, which is the surface of the earth. Now, the reason why God did this was because he is God, and everything that he exists within him is examined within his spirit, and acknowledgement comes in when whatever he has created responds to that which is of him, which is spirit. So now the response that comes in from our spirit, which is mankind, is simply because it responds to the likeness of himself, which is spirit, that he gave out onto the surface of the earth. And in accordance to that which he gave out on the surface of the earth needs to respond to that which is within him. That's why he calls us to worship him in spirit and in truth, because that formulation and coordination of that which the spirit of his likeness has released onto the surface of the earth is supposed to be acknowledged and respond according to the way he desires it to respond. Now, the separation there comes in because there's a free will that he has given unto man on the surface of the earth, but not forgetting on how he can walk within the spirit to acknowledge that there is a higher spirit, which is God, that he created. There's a higher spirit within himself that he gave unto the surface of the earth that could walk and acknowledge that there's a higher spirit which is him as God. So meaning there's a procession that occurs where the Spirit of the Lord is and where the spirit of man is, which has acknowledged an environment of truth, that there's a disposition that can occur at any particular point, and reference can be given simply because what is of the Spirit has communicated to something which is in the same likeness as him which is spirit. So now all coordinations that happen in the environments that God has given man access to, there is an alertness, like I said in the beginning, and there's an awareness for you to know that in the environment that God has given you the opportunity to encounter him has to be genuine of how he gets to communicate with you. Now, the genuine response that comes in is the truth of reality that you have encountered, not only with your spirit, but everything that responds out of you, giving yourself wholly to him. Now, the holy being that we are talking about is the response of everything that is within you that responds to him who is God. Now, when I say everything, it's initially everything about you. Your eyes, your nose, your mouth, your hands, the acknowledgement of everything that he has put and exists within you and your spirit actively responds to a realm and environment of truth where he is as God. God is spirit, and those that worship him must worship him in truth and in spirit. How have you been worshiping your God? What defines your totality of worship in him who is in spirit, that created you, that is spirit? What nature gets to identify that indeed you are worshiping him in truth and in spirit? Create that which God delights within himself, that you can be able to encounter him in his fullness as God. Worship him in truth and in spirit. God bless you, and till next time. My name is Eric Perry. Remember to like, subscribe, and share content that is shared on the Elite Class of Growth. God bless you, and I love you so much.